Welcome to the Critics Corner. We're back for another fun session of movies, entertainment, and banter. This is the holiday edition of the Critics Corner. We love Christmas. We love Christmas movies. Sometimes the sappier the better, but that's what Christmas is about. It's about pulling on your heartstrings, Timmy getting to walk again, and all that sort of fun things. So we're gonna count down our top 4 Christmas movies that we like. I've got mine. My friend and colleague, Mr. David Dunn, has probably got his as well. And so, do you want to start off our list here, going from 4 to 1? So why don't you kick that off for us, David?
Yeah, for sure. So my number 4 is surprisingly a little bit of an underdog movie. I don't know if you're going to agree with this or not, Andy.
Okay.
It definitely has received some mixed reception from the film critics circle, but I think this movie is very endearing. It's very heartfelt. It's very touching, and it very much deserves to be on any top Christmas movies list. I'm referring to the 2004 all digitally captured computer animated film, The Polar Express, based off of the book of the same name by Chris Van Allsburg. Tells a story about this kid who is swept away on a Polar Express to go to the North Pole and meet Santa Claus. Movie's directed by Robert Zemeckis and stars Tom Hanks in essentially 6 roles, which if anybody can play 6 characters in one movie, it's Tom Hanks. That's for sure. But I really enjoy this movie because of the simplicity of it. I love the childlike premise. I love, the themes they're exploring on faith, belief, just kind of believing in things that you can't necessarily see. It has great music. It has great animation. The score by Alan Silvestri is very beautiful. The visuals look very crisp and clean and colorful. Kind of looks like you're taking it straight out of the pages of the book. And Alan Silvestri does a great job. Robert Zemeckis does a great job expanding on these characters and kind of building on the lore that the book kind of built up, and really making a mature and profound and really incredibly deep movie about very simple ideas. But The Polar Express is very well made. It's very well animated. Honestly, I'm kind of surprised it didn't win Best Animated Feature at the Oscars that year.
Oh, totally agree. I mean, I've loved that movie ever since it's come out. It's a really heartwarming story. It tells you, it centers on just good feelings, giving back, just really good virtues that we need to carry out throughout the year. That almost made my list because it's on my top 10, not the top 4, but it's in my top 10. I love The Polar Express. It's a great movie.
Polar Express is a great movie, and it's a great movie. You can cut my part out.
Well, you're gonna laugh at me for my pick, and this is because I'm a kid and I would watch this every year, and I love this movie. I don't know if it was in theaters, but it would come on TV every year. I have a VHS copy where we taped it off at TV, and we think we wore it out. But I've been trying for years trying to find a DVD of it. It came out in 1987. It's called A Claymation Christmas Celebration. Oh my gosh. It's basically, shut up, it's good. So it's 2 prehistoric dinosaurs, Rex and Herb. They basically guide you through a typical small town Christmas carol celebration, but it's all done in claymation. It's really cool. They have an appearance by the California Raisins, and I just love it. I mean, it's just really cool. I mean, they try to get the song "Here We Come" wassailing right throughout the entire show, and Rex always gets mad at her because one time he's singing as "Here We Come a Waffling," and he's throwing waffles to people. Okay, it's funny, but the animation in this movie is really spectacular. It's just the way they do it. It's really it presents a really it's like a couple different stories all packaged together. It's really done really well. And I'm a kid. I watched this as a kid, and it just I'm sorry, I love this movie. So
I don't blame you at all. I've never heard of this movie, but now I definitely need to watch it. I definitely love the claymation art style. I love how it kind of gives a different layer to these animated characters, and it kind of gives them new dimensions. I would have thought if we were going the claymation route, you would have gone with something like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer or
well, I
Frosty the
love that
Snowman.
too. I mean, that's great. I mean, my speaking of that, my sister-in-law, who's a dentist, one thing she wanted one year was a figure of Herbie the elf who wanted to be a dentist. So she has that on her desk at work, or next to her like chair where she does dentistry, and
That's so
it's
great.
pretty awesome.
You can never go wrong with the claymation era. That's just a part of our childhood we're never gonna get back. So
Oh no, but the director for this, and surprisingly enough, his name's Will Vinton.
mhm.
He actually directed Michael Jackson's Moonwalker video.
Oh wow,
Yeah, that's really weird, but
yeah,
anyways, it's a movie I love. I watch it every year, and it just gives me the warm fuzzies, and that's what a Christmas movie is supposed to do.
yeah, for sure. I absolutely hear you. Speaking of warm and fuzzies, we have another Christmas movie here. It's a 1990 American classic, directed by Christopher Columbus and written by John Hughes, and starring Macaulay Culkin. I am talking, of course, Home Alone, the story where a young boy named Kevin is left home alone after his family accidentally leaves him behind while they travel for Christmas. Uh, this is kind of funny. When I was a kid, I was terrified of this movie because I was terrified of the thought of being home alone by yourself without my parents. I was a big mama's boy, so I was, that was just a particular nightmare of mine. But then you see the movie, and it's just so wacky and mischievous and conniving and funny and clever.
Well, the
It
stunts they do in that movie are actually them physically doing the stunts, hurting
Yeah,
themselves. Oh yeah,
yeah, and
it's great.
and then just that self abuse alone is just funny in and of itself. But you really do get the sense that this has John Hughes' charisma and charm. Obviously, he did, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. He also did Ferris Bueller's Day Off. He has a really great sense of comedic timing, and this movie's no different. And Macaulay Culkin is just brilliant in this movie. Like he has such charisma and charm, and he's so adorable, even though he's a wicked in the same sentence. You know,
Oh yeah,
uh,
he's an evil child to those guys,
oh,
which is
he's
awesome.
such an evil child. He could easily dominate the world if he wanted to.
My
But
favorite part is when the guy, I don't know if it's Harry or Marv, gets smacked in the face with an iron. It's just great. And I
it's
always
it's
cringe when he steps on the nail.
it's great timing, dude. But not even just that, like also the sentiment of this movie, like that longing for family and bonding, and those things really make Christmas. Not really the decorations and the presents and all this stuff. It's being with the people you love the most, and
Definitely.
the iconic theme by John Williams. The really beautiful and wonderful music that really adds to the euphoria of this movie. Home Alone is easily not just one of my favorite Christmas movies, it's also one of my favorite comedies, period.
Oh, definitely. I totally agree with you. And if you want to learn more about like behind the scenes, there's a great show on Netflix called The Movies That Made Us, and it goes into the entire how Home Alone was made and everything. And I believe it was originally supposed to be by Warner Brothers, but Warner Brothers dumped it and it went over to Fox.
Big mistake.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Worst decision ever. I'm sure they're still kicking themselves over that. Well, going into my third choice, I really love this movie, and it's Tim Allen's The Santa Claus. Um, it was when I would say when Tim Allen was really at the height of his, he had Home Improvement going on at the same time on TV. It was, he was really, really popular. He still is, but I just love the idea of the ordinary man becoming Santa Claus after some freak accident where Santa Claus inadvertently dies because he fell off the roof at Tim Allen's house. And it just brings, because he becomes Santa Claus, it just brings his entire family together. Christmas magic happens, lives are changed. It's just good.
The Santa Claus is definitely a wonderful, heartfelt family classic. I would say that it's probably one of my more favorite Tim Allen roles. Obviously, his role on the sitcom Home Improvement, he was very funny there. And Buzz Lightyear, you can never forget as well from Toy Story. But
well, Galaxy Quest.
That too. But I did love, just the energy he brought to this role, just the whole confusion of a dad being thrusted into being Santa Claus. Like, that's a lot of pressure. That's a lot to take in.
Oh, exactly.
But he processes it very well and very realistically, and yeah, the movie is just a blast. I know some people, the premise is a little macabre. Like, oh, you killed Santa Claus, now you need to become him. Like, that's a little twisted. But I do like the tone of this movie. I do love the family dynamic. It definitely this movie definitely extended into a franchise for very good reasons.
Oh, definitely. And there's one part of the movie. I mean, if you're from Michigan, Tim Allen's from Michigan. I grew up there. I lived there till I was about 10. But he puts a number of references to the greater Detroit area, and he's in the sleigh and he's lost. So he pulls the sleigh right up next to somebody and he says, "Do you take this way to get to I-94, which is a major highway in Detroit?" And I always crack up when that comes on. So, yeah.
There's so many great lines in this movie for sure. But speaking of sour old men coming to adopt the spirit of Christmas, no Christmas is complete without the Christmas Carol. Now, granted, there's been so many adaptations of Christmas Carol, it's impossible to pick just one. You could either go with Bill Murray's Scrooge, or you can go with Jim Carrey's iteration in the Disney adapted storyline.
Or you could go with the Muppet Christmas Carol.
Yeah. There's literally the Christmas Carol is almost its own genre.
Oh yeah.
But if I had to pick my favorite, if I had to pick the Christmas Carol movie that I feel did it the best justice, with the best Scrooge, with the best adaptation of Charles Dickens' story, I would have to pick the 1951 adaptation starring Alastair Sim, also titled Scrooge. Obviously, the classic tale of Scrooge being visited by the ghosts of Christmas past, present, and future. But not just the go ahead.
Is that the one with George C. Scott in that?
No, Alastair Sim. Alastair Sim. And I really love this movie for several reasons. One, Alastair Sim is just brilliant in the movie. I definitely think he's probably my favorite Scrooge, because he adopts that sourness of Scrooge so brilliantly. Just, the grossness of him, the greed of him, just the seething, spiteful energy of him. He does so great. But then when he later makes the transition later on in the movie of, coming to appreciate Christmas, he's joyful, he's happy, he's euphoric, he's jumping everywhere. He's so happy that he scares his maid. Like, it's such a great performance. But what I really like about this movie is, again, the tone. This movie isn't just a happy-go-lucky Christmas tale. It's also a very tragic, emotional, sometimes haunting character story about a man repenting from his past ways. The parts with the ghosts of Christmas present and future in particular is very dark and very brooding and very, very eerie. It's almost kind of like a horror movie a little bit whenever those characters come out on screen. But golly, it's such a great picture. It's so wonderful. It's so elateful. Out of all of the Christmas Carol adaptations I've seen, I feel like this one does the original Charles Dickens story the most justice.
And if you're looking for kind of another adaptation that's very well done, there's one called, I believe it's either called An American Scrooge or An American Carol, and it's basically Scrooge in America, which is it's a very well done version of the story, but
Who
same
plays
same
Scrooge in
class.
that one?
What?
Who plays Scrooge in that one?
I don't remember offhand. I'll have to look that up.
I'll check it out.
But there's so many of them. Some of them seem to run together sometimes. But
They really do.
I would agree with your choice and probably the one with George C. Scott in it. It's very well done.
I love that one
And
too.
I'm partial to the Muppet Christmas Carol. I mean, Kermit the Frog as Cratchit. I mean, come on, you got to love
And the fact that it is Michael Caine too, like he's another great Scrooge.
Yeah, that's true. Don't laugh. Well, you can laugh, but don't judge me for this pick because uh, I'm just gonna say it that it's the 1996 movie Jingle All the Way with Arnold Schwarzenegger. It's a guilty pleasure, I know. I just like it. Basically, the premise of the movie is a father is vowing to get this Turbo Man doll, which is like the toy of the year for his son, and he's competing against another character played by Sinbad, who's trying to get the same toy for his son as well, and they're fighting the Christmas crowds, and they have to travel all over town. They get into mayhem, and all that. It's a good story. It's funny. Arnold, it's not one of his best roles, it's comically funny because he's comically just really bad, and I enjoy that, and I get a laugh, and it makes me laugh and smile.
I mean, I'm glad you started this by saying this is a guilty pleasure. Like, I'm so happy you came in with that disclaimer. I have not seen the movie myself. I took one look at the trailer. I was like, no, I'm not doing this. Arnold Schwarzenegger is not known as a good actor.
All the way.
Yeah. But hey, power to you. I definitely understand the appeal of putting Alfred Schwarzenegger in a Christmas movie. I'm not, and I'm glad you also admitted this is not his best role.
No, it's definitely not. It's a guilty pleasure, and I watch it once a year just because I find it very funny.
That's fine. Hey, my guilty pleasure is National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. So I completely respect it. Sometimes you just need that slapstick, goofy fun to kind of get.
And that's what Jingle All the Way is. It's slapstick. It's goofy. It's over the top, and it's wow. It's surprising it got made, but it's again, like Tim Allen. It was when Arnold was really at one of his peak moments of popularity. He has that. He's kind of like a chart where he goes up and down in popularity. I mean, Arnold is one of those guys that everybody can do a bad Arnold Schwarzenegger impression of and get laughs. I mean, I'm sure you've got one. I've got one. And there's a lot of
I believe.
Get to the chopper! Run!
Chopper! Yeah, he's a very distinguishable actor for sure. I will have to check that one out just to see how wacky it is.
See it once, and if you don't like it, check it up. Okay, I saw it. I'm good.
Probably yeah. And once I hate it, I'll probably put you on the naughty list.
Oh, that's fine. Hey.
You're already on there for saying Die Hard is a Christmas movie, but it's fine.
It is.
I would be surprised if this wasn't your number one as well, Andy.
I'm kind of thinking I'm thinking you've got the same movie that I've got.
Okay. Let's just on the count of three, both say our number ones. Okay.
Fair enough.
We'll see how this works. Okay. 3, 2, 1.
It's a Wonderful Life.
That's so perfect. Ladies and gents, this was totally not planned, totally not scripted. We literally both just came out here and gave the same one. Yeah, man. It's a Wonderful Life is absolutely a Christmas classic. Personally, I think it's Frank Capra's best. It was the movie that made me a James Stewart fan. I really love the meaning behind this movie. I love the message. I love the writing. The filming is done very well.
Well,
And
no, it was
what's
actually a box office bomb when it came out. I don't know
Yeah,
why.
unbelievable. And I don't know why either. And really, that's proof that just because your movie's a box office bomb, that doesn't mean it was a failure. Because once
Oh,
this movie came into the public domain, it became more popular than ever.
yeah, they only got the copyright back on it back in 1993, and that's what basically stopped it from. Basically, because of a clerical error, it got into the public domain in the 70s, and that's really what made it popular because TV stations were looking for free content essentially to run during the holidays, and lo and behold, they have this Christmas movie that they can run and not pay for, and that's really boosted its popularity. And I'm a huge fan. I love the story, the message in it that everybody's life matters, and you make an impact in your with your family, your friends, your community. You matter to somebody,
Yeah.
and that no life is not worth living. I
You
just
have a
think it's a
wonderful
powerful
life.
movie.
Yeah, you have a wonderful life. Yeah, I agree with that. I really, and what I also really love about this movie, there's several things, but James Stewart at the time was dealing with a lot. Like, obviously, he came back from World War II, was dealing with some very, very severe post-traumatic stress. He wasn't feeling very motivated, wasn't feeling very inspired in his work. He's like, I'm just a guy acting in movies. Why do we care about this when all of this stuff is going on out there? And believe it or not, out of all the actors to kind of encourage him was Lionel Barrymore, who is ironically the antagonist in this movie, Mr. Potter. He kind of reminded him about, their work, why it's so important, why it's so vital to give people hope, especially in such dark and desperate times. And I think in this year especially, we need movies like this, Andy. It definitely lifts your spirits. It definitely reminds you of what to be thankful for. Don't take life for granted. Definitely just kind of look at the life you have and appreciate the life you have, the wonderful life you have.
Oh, definitely. It's a movie about hope. It's a movie about love. It says your life matters. You are valuable. Your contribution matters to somebody. And you look at Frank Capra when he made the movie. He was also a veteran of World War II as well, and he had done film work for the military as part of as his service, and he was affected by the war. And he want this was kind of a healing thing for him. Just watching the movie, you get that impression this was therapeutic for him to create this arguably to be his best work. I mean, he didn't do too much after this. This was because he got a lot of criticism for making this movie. And I from this movie, I've watched a lot of other Frank Capra movies, and it's just he's an amazing storyteller. I mean, he did this independently because he was having so much other trouble with mainstream studios getting it produced. And I just love how it's crafted together. It's a great movie. It's wonderful. I mean,
Yeah, wonderful is definitely the word.
uh, well, that's my number one. I mean, I had a couple honorable mentions that I wanted to mention. It's a good movie. It's kind of become more popular, kind of like Polar Express. I would say Elf.
Mm-hmm.
I love watching that
So,
every year.
I didn't put it on my list, but Elf was very, very close.
Yeah, yeah, I love Elf, and and this is it takes place during the Christmas New Year's kind of time. It's definitely not a Christmas movie, but the backdrop is that time frame. It's a 1953 movie. It stars William Holden. It's called Stalag 17. Yeah, it's a World War II movie. It talks about POWs, and there's a breakout and all that sort of thing. My family watches this every year. We can quote it verbatim, word for word. I mean, I've watched this movie since I was a kid, and to me, well, it might be not traditional Christmas. I watch this every year with my mom and my dad, and to me, it's Christmas to me.
Hey, I mean, there's no shame in that. Another honorable mention on my list was the 2005 foreign language film Joyeux Noel, which tells a true story about a Christmas truce that was made on the Western Front.
Yes.
As soldiers just came together on World War I to just kind of celebrate Christmas together.
Which is a true story, by the way. That did happen.
Yeah,
and I've seen that movie. That is a great choice.
It is.
I highly agree with that. And I guess my other honorable mention would be the original Miracle on 34th Street.
Yep. Can't go with that that one either.
And yeah, that's kind of all I had. But there's a lot of good Christmas movies out there. I suggest, this coming week, give thanks, be with your loved ones if you can. But, it'd be a good time to get a nice warm blanket, sit on the couch, pop in a DVD or stream something that you enjoy, that's memorable to you, and just, take it easy. Be thankful for where we're at, and, just it's a good way to celebrate.
Yes, sir. Amen to that.
Yeah. Well, I think that's going to do it for this edition of the Critics Corner. So if you have any questions, comments, concerns, suggestions of movies that you'd like us to review or watch, please email that to us. We also have a brand new official Critics Corner Facebook page, so please check that out. It has everything from movie trivia to upcoming movie trailers to reviews to just funny quotes from movies, movie memes, you name it, it'll be there. Check it out. It's pretty awesome. That is slowly being developed, and there's going to be some new fun kind of interactive stuff through that coming along. So check it out. So that is going to do it for this week's edition of the Critics Corner. Here at the corner, we want to wish you a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Feliz Navidad. Take care.
Everything. Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry Christmas.